Furthermore, we believe that veto power should not be restricted to only 5 nations, nor should it be absolute. There must be a mechanism in this House for the General Assembly to challenge a veto. No single nation should be able to exercise an absolute veto to serve its own interests in a dispute.
Because 54 good countries in Africa, not a single seat, and I represent Africa for. 18 common mudi na ma dampia to say dumping site. No. President John Dramani Mahama, John Ababu, John Kwame Nkrumah, John Onapo, Papano Odia Sempa Nabo. Odia Sempa Nabo, ready 24-hour economy.
Is the home for better Ghana. Mahama is the home. Is the home. Is the home for better Ghana.
Papa na ko fire our United Nations for aso ye Jesus Christ. Papa no Kwame Nkrumah honhom tini mu apa. Kwame Nkrumah honhom ni John Dramani Mahama. Chese ene moja na ye baako. Omodi moja fra. Me say 2012 speech now make here no. Now I say we come here not to be sympathized with, rather to be partners. We come here not for handouts, rather to be able to engage. Now and then the term moko Don't the money Mahama catch United Nations for say me for bogen for next one. E stage we ask Donald Trump ka say mo mama so mo premier. Yeah, me Donald Trump United States of America president. Me ba ye ma solve 7 countries war moko. 7 wars na ma solve no. UN for mo kapre banim mamwa. Phone call kra man frɛ anka ntɛ me say oh Donald Trump why ade me da ase. Man ka hwe ante na amanfo adwi say hey ono ko na Donald Trump nko na betima bɔ na adwene. John Dramani Mahama so be the same podium, the same place. The same Donald Trump microphone now issue here now say okay me so me wa media can say okay go on take on my markets nti ase be yaduma and say how on earth and a United Nations for basing from that long time multi United Nations basing you need one single seat at the Africa how I didn't hear and most of take decision na a nation say we are seeing na united into a United Nations. Meanwhile the 54 countries in Africa you need seat I was so how dare you say na mudi nkomo mudi ayanti ase enkomo na mudi no yemfane equilibrium yanti ase nyanse ni mai because 54 good countries in Africa not a single seat and I represent Africa for 18 common mudi we na ma dampia to say dumping site. No, a free narrow crow we are not demanding say 30 years ago there was a demand say as I say in your seat ha man fi. Now if there's a time I to make another demand na emeni this time is now. We must ensure say Africa ye 54 countries ye many representative I was I say na one mo sa bogane so na efu am veto do we hwan say veto for no kasa wie na omo di bibitu wie a ni abedampia to ya kai na so Africa for kura de ye ni bisunti no ye ka bi anyeye enti mumu 5 ni says no mu decide wie a na o me ka kire na say ye nto aso nye nkoye o say lie it must end now as say stop on the neck in the year on phone say all over 200 head of state for on phone say Donald Trump on phone say Vladimir Putin announce one more on phone say China president Xi Jinping only one more you all catch we are self for and say hey Africa need representative UN e say any seat e wo ho won twan ma be duru annual ade dem jama be frɛ say made day again ye ni any small group here from veto power o meka de na enye possible me say John Dramani Mahama Donald Trump close na o fire sa no president who was you.
And yet, the first sentence in Chapter 2, Article 1 of the UN Charter declares that the organization is based on the principle of sovereign equality of all its members. If this were true, and was the case, a continent as large as Africa, with its numerous UN member states, would have at least one permanent seat on the Security Council. Furthermore, we believe that veto power should not be restricted to only 5 nations, nor should it be absolute. There must be a mechanism in this House for the General Assembly to challenge a veto. No single nation should be able to exercise an absolute veto to serve its own interests in a dispute. In 1995, during the 50th anniversary of the United Nations, Nelson Mandela stood in this very spot. And he said, the United Nations has to reassess its role, redefine its profile, and reshape its structures. It should truly reflect the diversity of our universe and ensure equity among the nations in the exercise of power within the system of international relations in general, and the Security Council in particular. I close quotations. 30 years later, we African leaders are still making the same simple request for a permanent seat on the Security Council with the power of a veto. So today, Madam President, I stand here in this exact spot and ask the world, if not now, then when?
Oye no se debi. O se de to aso. O se emre na so. Se yema emma ene men kan say. Emma ba ya ene ye maame no ne ye sesese ne mo. Ese etimi mo omo opportunity, equal opportunity. Mahama ne ma de o ye de ye onko nya no. Ghana enche be women bank. Yes, I'm a free part. No Kuran Samson appointment vice president. Jenna Poku Obonidi. Or the defense man say Africa first, Ghana first vice president. May I think say even Africa first vice female president. First female vice president. Ghana, Africa. I talk with you. Obonidi man the fans ho. Also, a person de Ba Farida. Wadi 18 no, Obenyine no. Now we are say a safe and equal and balanced. Edema bema de maba say na bitima ye adwuma ye adwuma den ama we are say yenye nkunimdie. It is a UN for say ye pa wi ase nkabom ye pa wi ase nkanko a den na ye de ama maso. Na de owie ye a odi say asem na mese we die John Dramani meba fie na opposition for no MPP for Allah wallahi press conference meeting 2000. Now we are anche na Israel for Omo a friends ambassador wa Ghana to be man Ghana because Samuel Okudzeto black or foreign affairs minister. Aka se Ghana about one na ye kwakwatu between Israel and a friends Iran no ye yangoto about Gaza and Israel for yan support inti ama Israel for buafu kakra adwa koku adwa ama koku apai. Na ya ni say ye Samuel Okudzeto black or foreign affairs minister Ghana and adwene John Dramani Mahama to je microphone. Enye baby o say United Nations for annual general meeting in New York, United States of America. Obi in Israel any United States of America o my center for yenti ba ku free ba ko omugobom. John Dramani Mahama president our president papa no wa man wa for boga anya swan wa fire o say mon country Israel for say Gaza for no mukom no eye o say eye Israel the president for tokoi o ma ku an go si da bai yes for the na mon kan no country Israel for say the innocent people at Gaza no omu o say yes Hamas for no yes stubborn but how do you stop the Hamas so me harass Israel for abra Palestinian for either so e darkness omo wilderness ye go Israel for go so omuku omo nkwala omo ma any mema omu o say it must end now me say John Dramani Mahama we dey Nkrumah moje yira na be show. Nkrumah be isem ya kankan nyame ya na be wuro mu because our Donald Trump asase so. Israel for control asase, control president e wo so. Me patrol free na come ma John Dramani Mahama em for commercial flight bi wati. God the way papa say na no atoro no. Say okase ma say onkase bi fan to so. The whole African president, the whole United African say the over 200 head of states for Medellin. Obiya so beka. John Dramani Mahama say onu fa boga nya so ai wan suro. Wa fire wa bona adwena ka je say Israel for yi. Munyai. Manko Gaza for nga kreye. Manko Palestine for nga kreye muntwa so. UN for munyai ena no say mo hye microphone achi. Ana annual general meeting na mo kwa akoye no. Na mo nka no kranche Israel for say the fight must end now. The way any say ma John Dramani Mahama. Na minim say eye dan ya na obe surprise Ghana for obe make us proud. I'm proud. Are you proud? John Dramani Mahama.
Allow me to echo the Indian-American writer Arundhati Roy, who wrote, "Another world is not only possible, she is on her way. On a quiet day, I can hear her briefing." I want to add that for the sake of Africa, and quite selfishly for the sake of my 18-year-old daughter, I hope that this new world that is arriving is a place of safety and equality for women and girls. To succeed, we must empower everyone, including women and girls, to reach their full potential. In closing, Madam President, I'd like to congratulate you on your election to preside over this historic 80th General Assembly and on being the 5th woman to hold this distinction. I'd also like to congratulate Her Excellency Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman on being the first woman Vice President of Ghana. Now every Ghanaian girl knows the heights to which she can ascend. Words matter, but issues of representation matter even more, which is why Ghana looks forward to the appointment of a woman as Secretary General of this organization in the near future.
John Dramani Mahama, my president, your president, our president. John, he's the hope. He's the hope. Adiabam papa nabo. Adiabam papa nabo. 24-hour economy. John Dramani Mahama kasa mama boto ma yesa pa no a just ya chene ne boto no. Papa na kasa rough. But if you not come Israel, mon country foreign affairs minister, minister of defense, and your finance minister, Kessler to force. Na yan country affairs some could the top black say, "Masa, mo make a new presidential jet ready." Na mon sample best 2 jet bia on a woman na born home by because we are saying the way John Dramani Mahama and fear the world leaders, they be an Africans ya timid. You could do what I call a beg, near beg, and near Babbitt nephew. You could do an go as a cosret, near Cosra, near Babbitt nephew, but this time around. Me, we are going apart from John Dramani Mahama. There was another president, also Cassatia, against zero representative of African leaders. Our UN. Now, John Dramani Mahama, there, or fine or any more hate. Or can say no. And you can say a cassa ya twaba. Na ye nka ho bi na ye ne position we so 2 eni kwase ye free bi say veto power no mo nko decide na ye see na ya kaye nkonkoye over 54 countries egu Africa no mo bi amoa ho mo bi adwon say ya adwen ye the rise of Africans. In fact, minyaya na John Dramani Mahama nka we in the first 4 years in governance na nka 8 years akoko agutwa amagana. The way John Dramani Mahama pulling the other African leaders along, no. John Dramani Mahama is pulling every African leader. Say, Muni yachi. And the Mahama kasa we no. Enya no kwa another African leaders no. Yes, the Mahama kana mefwaso. I didn't know over 54 African countries. Ye ni one single representative. Ye ni seat. Our UN so I didn't ya. Mahama no de one san fans wo we tell UN to say enti Gaza for ya Israel for ku no Israel for no omoboro mo aso Russia for na ye ya nka matwe maba mo de ko bo mo se we na ko ye ya matwe maba mo de ko bo mo Meanwhile, Israel for kuntekoye ku Gaza for ku Palestinian for be sin me. Nothing has been done, nothing has been said. Omo de omo buru mara so ana me say, "Hey, John Dramani Mahama, once upon a time ye a friend say African Union. And yeah, once upon a time still that's all because Muhammad Gaddafi, former Libya president, and who you know stop here. Now Israel friends Israel for and see. Baby African Union for no or you see chair meetings. We no or they recording wise be share. Tina de beka bia na pa. Omosuma. Eti ontia say so that say Israel for no omo de omu ko obia na yoki. Ye ko obia yoki. Omo konta kwa yoki. Yan komasem. Ana omo de nanam ho. Say Muslim United Nations na say mo priority a peace for the entire world yeah. Every ni mo stop it. Again, owie no normally yenim say abrofo no kra na nkepe first equal rights then omo anepe omo na equal rights omo na kofo ma de bae equity ni equality omo amobrofo don the money mama ade na for the work up osihia eze no de me kra me peche because me de man ma ubi me yere so me do no eti me pese wiase no after some few years to come na a mema opportunity omo won say na maso opportunity into we na say shout out the man the vice president Jenna no poku me say ma me ju fans do too o say Ghana your first female vice president and me mani hwehwe mu Africa minim si enya female vice president ya me say enya president but female vice president me sure don't the money man the fans we na say neba Farida wadi 18 pe e say in the next few years oni abamu a enya say ne papa ya president nti na say na say the opportunity but wait man opportunity because or your oba or your qualified say adwuma na ogwakoye no say be man e de man o ya yeye oba na de man na o ye yeye nti o say no so UN for e hwe ho asem na mo ka me say ene the Africa president amokoye ankoye beg ankoye me pacho ankoye mpacho umam kakra nkodidi debi ye na ye ntena table of men we ye mema nyanse wo mutrim na bi na we ye trim se mu bie ma no am kasa ento so firi manum sa na bi so firi enum se mu tinto so gu fo ma ye fita ye so die fita ye bo ma no so blows ne ye ponche ma sa wi a emoja bi firi manum ba sa so ne die bi firi enum ba enti ye ntwen ma US Russia China UK bi mekam mom from who veto powers e me shemra maye at the same time wuntimi wie nkase ma ye UN for ma ye mujena ma ye meetings na mo ye no ye be kono na African country 54 countries ye ni one single seat e so adinti boni aye mu ne mo de be che sanye boni so na ye bo apoyo ane wo be sesa no am say don the man ma say enye letter o now asem na on can say that because was it 30 years ago yakasa asem we pay materialize it into ono okay no o demand no order me say what a president kwame nkrumah mo je na be wura ni mu o mo ni nsema no me say John Dramani Mahama John kwame nkrumah John ababio John wasanaba John ayani na tena yem fra wo John acha say fra ho John but me patro mema John nye JON ene se we Yakubu adwene nye but John na ye JOHN nkwade a chairman yankupu achira wo John Mahama kasa machese owie no African leader for we has Kenya president Uganda president Mozambique president obobo mu nsem sa na omuti yate
together as a community. Sadly, time and technology have eroded these spaces. Madam President, in many ways, the United Nations is the proverbial town square of our modern global village. And it has never been more critical for us to protect this one space that brings and holds the world nations together as a community. The internet, social media platforms, and artificial intelligence offer us the illusion of connectivity, when in fact what they do is reinforce isolation by using algorithms that ensure that we do not receive new ideas and perspectives, but rather more of the same content. We are served alternative facts and manipulated images, making it easy to disseminate disinformation and sow seeds of division amongst communities. Madam President, these are dangerous times. Our world is currently experiencing a rise in nationalism and economic instability. There's a general breakdown of multilateralism. Various acts of aggression have been committed against the sovereignty of others, and nations are attempting to circumvent the very safeguards that were put in place to prevent large-scale global conflict. These conditions are all too similar to the ones that led to the League of Nations' failure in fulfilling its mandate. The denial of visas to President Abbas and the President, and should be deeply worrying to all member nations of the United Nations. Ghana recognized the state of Palestine in 1988 and supported a two-state solution to the conflict since then. And I say, contrary to the claims of some, a two-state solution would not be a reward for Hamas. It would rather be a reprieve for the hundreds of thousands of innocent women and children and people who are facing collective punishment and forced starvation for no reason other than the fact that they are Palestinian. For nearly 2 years and for the fear of reprisals, we here in this General Assembly have been playing hide and seek with language to find the right words to help us avoid or excuse what we all know is taking place in Gaza. But here's the thing, it doesn't matter what you call it. If it looks like a duck, it swims like a duck, and quacks like a duck, well, then it must be a duck. The crimes in Gaza must stop. The crimes in Gaza must stop. Madam President, I also want to draw...
John Dramani Mahama, fire now, fire no baby, eti African leaders na wo bo musem na say papa waka ya semina mai asema ha ye pa na waka no asem grofo mu ye mo fa nya hwe omo fa ye Jones be si ne but ne the waka yi ye na ye fo aso eti say who say other president ikasa ever about the 54 African head of state for omo ni seat e wo UN aso ya kai say John Dramani Mahama pay we no eti ne adwumanasi Africa for say UN for we no nye na bia mo nkonkoye owi no John smart ro akwado communication bi okusunya ni de free ye de oye UN president say UN general secretary say ye oba owi no man fans and say oye ba ide reso na bo say ma so be ya equality de free bueno ye friend emotional blackmail ye the one kasa de wotie ane ye de omo ase wo igro a omeku atia ho ne ye counter enti maame no se opompo se oye policies bia wo yue na akati a so factor ma ti John Mahama den ya de okairo ebebam ye be ya ma no amana ye John Dramani Mahama our UN general friends UN annual general meeting our New York papa no nensem o kan ye bode de Ghana for fili Africa for ye da for comment to comment section say u fili say John Dramani Mahama advocate say the veto power must end every single a country must have a say before UN be decided again there's no way say UN it may have a meeting without a single representative from the 54 countries from Africa. Mbano, and he's demanding it now. John Dramani Mahama, Feda, say, guess, ni, a friend say, Mamma for Umina, opportunity, say, the man, opportunity now. Now, Oyen, the waka, hoopa, and the Oba, maybe a millionaire commercial flight in Madame Farmer back. Gaza. Ana Palestinian for ni Israel for ntakwa no the go Donald Trump kura so be ka bi ono o ka no na nito a o ye Israel for president so ka bi Trump ntimi nkasa o kasa na no fonfon eduru Israel for president kwa so a John Dramani Mahama for boge anye swine o se mon kan kire Israel president netin hu se santa kwa na se ende on timi nku Gaza for no free all in the name of say or person or chile superiority some in the trim. It you and for Monka Sanchez is that for me say Ghana be able to say a middle class income country view. He be able to say a developed country because says here you himself one for swag and boge am be yes one ya who say okra no wi so ye it is about a man for say Ghana yaso enkroma Ghana say ya kuja to black kwata aka no kwame nkroma Ghana so de yin say nsura de sa and say ubu kwame nkroma yes ubu Ghana and ubu Ghana kwame nkroma moja no na be wura John de mani mama mu papa no so akasa for comment no eto comment section as subscribe like it let's share mo unia eso enye biwe edi no ba ko pe Maxi Billian on Naked Truth Oldboga Tress Macrow. Bye bye.